In this video, I'm going to show you the best Warzone Season 6 class setups for brand new players, for beginners of the game. You're not going to want to miss this because this gun and class setup is amazing. What's going on, guys? My name is Gray and welcome to my channel. Like I just said, I'm going to show you guys the best class setup for Season 6 in Warzone, what you guys are going to need on the gun, how to use it, and then I'm just going to give you a little bit more explanation. But make sure you guys stay till the end of the video. That way you get all the information and you're able to use this to your full potential and you can really just dominate lobbies. Let's get into it. So first off, before we actually get into the class setup, I have to prove to you guys that this gun is OP and this class is really good. So we're going to watch just a few little clips of me just dominating in a lobby to show you guys how good this gun really is. I hope you enjoy. Now that I've shown you guys that this gun is OP, we're going to get into it. But first, if you guys could do me a huge favor and leave a like on the video, I would really appreciate that. Also, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and turn the bell notification on so you can be part of the fam and you get notified whenever my next video drops. Hey guys, I'm down here, but now you can see the class. So this is the full setup. If you guys just want to copy it, take a screenshot and leave, that's fine by me. All I ask is that you guys leave a like on the video. But if you want a little bit more explanation on why we have these attachments, then I'm going to hop into each one, give you the explanation, and then go on to the rest of the class. So the first attachment is the monolithic suppressor, and if you are new to the game, especially because this is a video for beginners, you want to have the monolithic suppressor on almost every single gun in the game. The reason why we use the monolithic suppressor is, one, you get that sound suppression, so if you are shooting, you can't be heard, / you won't be showing up onto the radar when you're shooting. Secondly, the damage range. This is a must. When you're shooting people in Warzone, sometimes they're 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 meters away. You want to have that damage range buffed. That way you're able to put down that damage from a far range as well. Moving on to the barrel, we are using the SynGuard Arms 19.8 Powler. And again, like I said, you want to boost that damage range. So that is one of the major pros on this, but also bullet velocity allows your bullets to get there quicker, allowing you to, get your kill faster and put more bullets down before they even have time to react. But also, you get recoil control with this barrel, so now you're able to spray constantly while maintaining your aim and being able to laser your opponent. Moving on to the underbarrel, this one is a massive buff to the class and it is 100% needed for this. This is the Commando foregrip and it gives you recoil stabilization and aiming stability. Now, we don't really care that much about the aiming stability, but what we do care about is the recoil stabilization. This will allow you to continuously spray with your gun and maintain your aim during heavy fire, so it's really easy to beam your opponents, especially if they're running in a straight line across an open field or, flying in, stuff like that. Now for the ammo, this one kind of comes to more personal preference. I like the 60 round mag. It seems to be fine for me where I'm able to do almost everything that I need to. If you really wanted to though, you could throw on the 100 round mag and just take a little bit off of your control and your mobility on the gun. But I kind of like being a little bit more nimble in my games, so I use the 60 round mag. It's always good for me. I can get enough bullets into at least 2 players and take them down before I need to reload, and that's massive. Now the final attachment is the optic, and this is why I left it last, because if you don't need to use an optic, you don't have to. This is where it comes down to personal preference. So I have 2 optics pick out for you guys that you could go ahead and try, which in my opinion I think are the best. But if you don't want to use an optic, then I will show you an additional attachment you can put on after I'm done with this. So the first sight that's really good for the Kilo is the Corp Combat Hollow sight, and I really just like how this one looks. As you guys can see, if I go to the customization, this is what it looks like inside your scope. Now I just like the field of view on this one, but really again it comes down to personal preference. The second optic I would recommend is using the VLK 3.0 optic, and this thing is usually used by most of your top pros like, you know, Nick Merckx or Swag. They love to use this thing. So this is what it looks like when you are looking through the reticle, and it's a pretty clean, very easy to see scope. Now like I said, sometimes you don't actually need to use an optic, and that's kind of how I fall into play sometimes, where I don't really need to use it. So if you guys are not using an optic, then the last attachment I would recommend is using the stippled grip tape. You get ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. So sometimes when you're running from the storm, trying to get to the next circle, you see an opponent and you want to try to get your shots on quickly, that sprint to fire speed and ADS speed will help you out a ton, laying down those first shots and allowing you to take out your opponent next. I'm going to leave the secondary weapon for later on, so don't click off yet. You're not going to want to miss it. So moving on to the perks. Perks are massive in Warzone. They help you out so much, and it could be the difference between life or death and winning the Warzone game. So first off, we are using EOD on the perk 1 slot. I think this is a must. I think this should be on every single class that you're using. Nobody really uses thermals anymore, so cold-blooded isn't that important anymore. EOD allows you to take less explosive damage, so like a C4, a Claymore, grenade, anything that's thrown at you and it explodes, you'll take some less damage from it, and that's huge because that could be the difference between you winning and losing that fight. Next we have Ghost, and Ghost is huge. You want to make sure you have Ghost on every single one of your classes. That way you don't show up on the radar when people use a UAV, especially in endgame. If you guys are trying to keep your position and people don't really know where you are at that point in time, if they pop the UAV, they still won't know because you have Ghost, and that's how overpowered it really is. Because I said I'm going to leave the secondary weapon towards the end, I'm going to leave the third perk slot there as well, just so you guys can understand the full scope of this class. Moving on to the lethal and tactical. Previously, before season 6, before the C4s got nerfed, everybody was running C4 as their lethal, but I think the frag grenades are actually too overpowered now, because you can cook your grenade and be able to throw it at your opponent. So now, since the C4s are nerfed, frag grenades are the new C4. And for your tactical, you want to have the heartbeat sensor. This is huge for if you're trying to fight a team in a building and you guys got your loadout first and your opponents don't have ghosts. It also works in endgame. I always am using my heartbeat sensor, always checking any building that we push, because your opponent could be in there hiding and they don't have ghosts, and you'll be able to see them within 50 meters. So like I said, I was leaving the secondary weapon and the last perk for last in this video. That way I could just wrap this whole thing together. So you want to use Amped as your third perk. That way you're able to switch between weapons quickly. I know that I've been in situations where I've had my AR out and then we get pushed and I couldn't really kill that opponent because I couldn't get my secondary weapon out and up in time. So having Amped allows you to pull out your secondary weapon and get it out quickly. That way you could go ahead and use it in that situation. Now, what is that secondary weapon? It's going to be the MP5, because the MP5 is meta. So click on the video you see on your screen right now to see the MP5 class. That way you can be ready to go in Warzone and smack people every single day.